I'm Ms. Harden, the Family Resource Coordinator at Woodland Elementary School, and we're here today for the dinner table project, and we're cooking up here at the Extension office. And joining me, I have my daughter Lasagna, my son John, and then we have Emily and Danielle, and Stephanie, Miss Keeler, and Dr. Kersey. So you'll see some familiar faces from Woodland. So the dinner table project is a partnership between CommuniCare and the Hardin County Extension Office, and then the Family Resource and Youth Service Center. We're coming together and we're trying to encourage our families to cook together and spend time together, put down their electronics. You'll see this really awesome box. And the purpose of this box is at dinner time, we're gonna put our electronics, our cell phones, our different devices that are maybe taking our attention. We're gonna put them away in the box so that our families can sit down and eat together and cook a meal together. So you will get a recipe. Today we're cooking lasagna soup, homemade garlic bread, and peanut butter fudge. So the recipe will be provided if your family wants to cook it. We'll provide the recipe. And if you post photos online, be sure to put #dinnertableproject so that we can see your family eating and cooking together. We'd love to see our Woodland families and our Woodland Eagles participating. And there may be some prize drawings for those families who do that. I'll be watching for those photos. If you have any questions, be sure to reach out to me at Woodland Elementary School. First thing, we're gonna start with ground beef. This recipe calls for 1 pound of ground beef, but because of the size of my family, I'm doing 2 pounds. And so my helper right here is Lasagna, and she's gonna help me some with frying the ground beef. So remember, we're gonna squish it just like this.
Okay, I'll do it by myself.
Okay, well let mommy help just a little bit to get it squished, and then you can move it around. How's that? So for this recipe, we are going to use 2 cans of tomatoes. And again, I'm doubling the recipe, so I'll use 4 cans. We just bought the Great Value Petite Diced tomatoes. They're each 14.5 ounces. We have Parmesan cheese. The brand doesn't matter, so if you want to use the dried Parmesan cheese, that's okay, or if you want to use the Parmesan cheese that's in the bag. And then I got a 32-ounce thing of chicken broth. So that's what it takes for the recipe. And again, I'm doubling, so I got 2 of them. And then I got a 6-ounce can of tomato paste. So Great Value brand tomato paste, just 6 ounces. And we have a box of lasagna noodles. Oh, sorry. And you're only going to use a partial box, so you can double the recipe and use the whole box, or you can just save the noodles for another recipe later. And then the recipe calls for minced garlic. So I got just a small jar of minced garlic, and you won't use the whole thing, so you'll have some left for another recipe. And then I have salt and pepper, and this is just for taste, so if you don't want to add salt and pepper, that's okay. And then for this recipe, it calls for onions. I don't like fresh onions. My kids don't like fresh onions, so we just got minced onions. This is something that you can choose to leave out. It's just your family's preference. So I just do Italian seasoning instead of doing a whole bunch of different seasonings. So this has got thyme, rosemary, basil, and sage in it. So it just adds a little bit of extra taste. And then for our last ingredient, we have some mozzarella cheese. And I just got the bag cheese from the store. All right, so right now we're just going to fry the ground beef up.
I'm doing a plant-based version of the same recipe Ms. Harden did. So I'm going to substitute the meat, the ground beef or ground sausage, with plant-based protein. It's called Emerge, and you can get it chicken flavored, beef flavored, and I think pork flavored. You can find it at Kroger, Whole Foods, and other grocery stores like that. And for the butter, I'm going to be using plant-based butter. This is Country crock plant butter. You can get this at most stores. The one that I like is called Flora. They only have it at Kroger, so you can't get it at Walmart, but this one you can get at Walmart. It just says plant butter. And then for the cheese, it's a non-dairy, plant-based mozzarella. And then the other thing that I'm substituting is for the Parmesan cheese. They also make plant-based Parmesan cheese, and it smells just like Parmesan cheese. It's really strong. And vegetable broth for the beef or chicken broth. So the recipe is the same and the process is the same. It's just a matter of making the substitutions for the animal products using plant-based products.
Okay, so you know the ground beef is finished when it's all brown. So you see how some of it's brown like this? So when it's all the way done, it'll be all the way brown. Okay, so while the ground beef is browning, we're going to add the minced garlic. Do you remember which one the minced garlic is?
Minced garlic.
This one. So she's going to do 3 teaspoons of garlic. One more.
There you go.
All right. So we're going to close it up. Can you put the lid on it? And JJ, you're going to come over here and you're going to do this for me.
How much?
So it calls for an onion, but since we're doing minced onion, we are going to do a tablespoon of onion. All right, pour it in there.
It has to be on each side.
Yep. Good job. Okay.
Wait, I need that.
Nope, that's it. That's the recipe. So look at it. Let me know when it's all the way brown, okay?
One is done.
It's almost done, right?
Yeah.
See, we're gonna make sure all the garlic is getting fried as well, and we're gonna make sure the onion's getting fried. It's cooked now, and I'm gonna drain this with a strainer, and this is just to drain out the oil. If you use leaner ground beef, it's got less grease and stuff. I just used some regular ground beef. So I'm gonna make sure all the grease is drained out. So once the ground beef is strained out, I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna pour it in like a stock pot. Okay, so now the next step is to start pouring in the tomatoes. So the recipe calls for 2 cans of diced tomatoes, and then it calls for tomato paste, so we're gonna put that in there as well. Tomato paste can be a little tricky, so you might have to use a spoon or a knife. All right, JJ, the next step is coming. All right, so we need the chicken broth.
Wait,
Okay.
you have to do it like this.
Yes.
And then you lift it up, pour it back down, lift it up, pour it back down. And then you do lift up, and then you pour it all out.
Okay.
All out. And then that's
We gotta do the lasagna noodles. Okay, so lasagna noodles. So it's normal lasagna, you would just lay the noodles out, but with lasagna soup, you're gonna take the noodles and you're gonna break them into little bite-sized pieces. The recipe calls for 8 noodles.
only 8.
Here, start taking it and break it in little pieces. Try to do smaller. See? All right.
Anyone? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, goodness.
Okay, so it just looks like a very funny mixture. It doesn't look very good, but once it cooks and stuff, it thickens and it's a lot more richer. And tomato, it looks a lot more like lasagna. So right now it just looks very funny and like sort of like a stew sort of type vegetable soup. So it'll look a lot different once it cooks.
Need help?
Yeah, you stir that up for me. We need half a teaspoon of Italian seasoning. Okay, so we're just gonna let this simmer and come to a boil. Okay, so this is the soup after it's already boiled and it's thickened. As you can tell, it doesn't look as soupy and it's not as thick. It's sort of thickened, sort of like a chili would. So the next step would be to put some cheese in it. And I'm going to take it off the stovetop so that it's no longer boiling. Okay, so it's half a cup of Parmesan and 1 cup of mozzarella. So this will be extra cheesy. And then mozzarella, we need a whole cup. Okay, now we stir it. Ooh, and it's gonna thicken up a whole lot when you put the cheese in it, and it'll get a nice, thick, cheesy texture. And then if you wanna add a little bit of extra cheese on top, and then as it cools down, it'll thicken up even a little bit more. But that is lasagna soup. I have a loaf of French bread. You can also use Italian bread, that's preference, or you can use just normal sandwich bread. The type of bread doesn't matter, that's up to you. We have Parmesan cheese. The brand doesn't matter, so if you want to use the dried Parmesan cheese, that's okay, or if you want to use the Parmesan cheese that's in the bag. We also have stick butter right here, and I just got the Great Value brand. It's unsalted, and I got unsalted because sometimes if you use the salted butter, it tastes a little too salty. And powdered garlic. And then for our last ingredient, we have some mozzarella cheese. And I just got the bag cheese from the store. So for the garlic bread, we're gonna use stick butter, and it's 1 stick of butter. And I actually softened the butter and melted it in the microwave, so it just makes it nice and liquidy. It'll be easier to spread. And I'm gonna preheat the oven to 425. And it takes about 5 minutes for the bread to cook. It just varies. I wait until it's nice and brown. So once the butter's melted, we're gonna put some garlic in it, so it'll have that nice garlic butter taste. And it is a tablespoon of garlic. So if your family doesn't like garlic a whole lot, you might not use as much garlic. If you like garlic a whole lot, you might use a little bit more. Okay, you wanna dump it in?
Yeah.
Okay.
WA
Okay, yep. All right, and I'm just gonna mix the garlic and the butter until like all the garlic is sort of melted into the butter and there's no lumps. Okay, so for the bread, since I got a whole loaf of French bread, I'm going to actually just cut it into slices. So I'm just gonna do about 1-inch slices. And so it's just about 1 inch. It doesn't matter if they're different shapes and different lengths. It doesn't have to be perfect. Yeah, let me do the cutting part since that's a grown-up job. So, and depending on your family size, you might not need a whole loaf of bread. You might only need like a half a loaf, and that's completely fine. So once you have the butter, you're just gonna take the butter mixture and you're going to put it on the bread. So you're gonna dip the brush, and I just have a brush right here, and it'll be really easy just dipping the brush. This is a good job for a smaller child. Lasagna here, she's 6. All right, you wanna take it and you're just gonna brush it just like that. Okay, so it's like you're painting. And you can paint all of those for me. How's that? Okay, so now that it's nice and garlicky, so something that's optional that you can add is cheese. If you like to have cheesy garlic bread. Are we making cheesy garlic bread, or are we just making regular garlic bread?
Cheesy.
Cheesy. We're gonna take some mozzarella cheese, and it's just normal mozzarella cheese. We're gonna just spread a little bit of mozzarella cheese on each piece of garlic bread.
That'll make it taste real good.
And so it doesn't take a whole lot. If you notice on this piece of bread, there's just some butter on it, and then there's a little bit of cheese on top. Yeah.
Sprinkle.
Yep, just sprinkle, sprinkle.
This is all this bread.
Yep. All right, so whenever your bread is finished, we're gonna put it in the oven. And I'm gonna set the timer for 5 minutes. So the bread is done. So this is the bread, it's finished.
Hi, I'm Veronica Keeler, and I'm the counselor at Woodland, and we're here to make some family fudge. And this is my niece, Danielle. And
My name is Emily.
Emily Spicer and Danielle Spicer. Thank you, girls, for coming and helping me tonight. So we are going to make some fudge after we just washed our hands and made sure that we're being safe. This is the ingredients we're going to use. We're going to use 1 1/4 cups of butter. We're going to use 1 1/4 cup of
Creamy peanut butter.
and we're going to use 4 1/2 cups of powdered sugar. Yum. Okay, so let's read the directions, girls. It says butter an 8-inch nonstick dish and set it aside. Do you know why we butter this?
So it doesn't stick to it.
The next thing says that in a medium saucepan over medium heat, we're going to heat the butter. So we've already pre-measured the butter. So go ahead and put the butter in, girls.
Okay. Like this one too?
Yep, all of them. We measured them all. I think if you like shake it a little bit. Yep. Then we can throw this back here.
All of these two?
Yep. Because remember, how many did it take? How many sticks to make a whole cup?
2.
So we need 1 whole cup and 1/4 cup. Okay, so the next thing that we do is we're going to heat the butter and peanut butter until it comes to a boil. So I'm going to put it over here on the hot plate. Let it start melting. We're going to let that melt. We've already measured the peanut butter, and this is 1 1/4 cup of peanut butter.
Creamy peanut butter.
Creamy, right, no nuts. I'm going to put this in here real fast. It's starting, the butter's starting to melt. Emily, you want to stir just a little bit?
Yeah.
But be careful so the pan's hot.
That butter is melting.
The butter is melting really good, huh? Okay, let me do some of it for you.
It's also really
we're
sticky.
using a hot plate right now, and we've made this before on the stove. And do you think it was easier on the stove?
Yeah.
It's hard to hold the plate still and the pot, huh?
Yeah, because
So it's all melting.
Looks good.
And then let's be reading the next thing. It says, when it comes to a boil, remove it from the heat. So it's almost all melted. It's making a liquid. So read me step 3.
Add the salt and vanilla
Extract.
then stir in the powdered sugar until smooth and no lumps remaining.
Nice. And so in this recipe, there's lots of things that you can do. Some people don't like to use salt. Some people don't like to use the vanilla. That's all up to you. We've made it before without those, and it always tastes good, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to stir a little bit? Okay, don't touch the pan, just stir, okay? Does it look nice and smooth to you?
That little one.
Yep, there's one little piece of butter left. Let's turn it up just a little bit and see if we can get it to start boiling. You know what that means to boil?
Like whenever it bubbles.
Yep, when it starts getting the bubbles. And then what are we gonna do next when we start getting the bubbles?
Add
The
the
powdered sugar. And we already have the powdered sugar measured out. We're just waiting to get this to boil. It's almost boiling right now, and then it'll be your turn to put it in
it's
slow.
starting to bubble.
Yeah, now you can see all the bubbles in there. Oh yeah, lots of boiling now, huh?
I don't see no chunks of butter anymore.
Right, I don't see any chunks of anything anymore. Okay, Danielle, get your bowl of sugar. Because we don't want it to burn, huh? I'm gonna turn this off.
Be careful.
I'm gonna give it just another little stir. And you're gonna pour it in there like slowly. Okay? Like a little bit at a time. And I'll get that stirred up. And then we'll put some more in, okay? Make it nice. Get all of it nice and smooth again.
It looks
Yep.
like chunky.
It does because the sugar's melting in there. Okay, some more sugar.
Wow.
I know. The powdered sugar, yeah. That's good.
Now you could go put that in the food.
I love the way you guys clean up afterwards too. Okay, Emily, get our pan to the front. So it'll
This?
be ready. So when it gets, read the last direction. Emily,
Step number 4.
yes, please.
Pour the fudge mixture into the prepared pan and smooth the top. Press a piece of plastic wrap directly on the fudge and refrigerate until set, at least 1 hour. Cut into squares and serve. Fudge can be stored at cool room temperature in an airtight container for up to 1 week, or in the refrigerator for up to 1 month.
Okay, all right, so I'm gonna hold the pan up a little bit, and Emily, go ahead and like,
Scrape now.
yeah. When we get it all in there, Danielle, then we will let you, let's see if we can, we'll let you smooth it out, okay? Okay. It's almost perfect. Okay, Danielle, now you can smooth it out if you want to. And you remember it said that there's some, you can make this in the microwave, or if you don't have an 8-inch square pan, you can use a 9-inch pan, or you can put it in a Ziploc bag. And we're gonna put it in the fridge for how long, Emily? What did the directions say?
At least 1 hour.
So it looks nice and smooth to me. Does it look nice and smooth to you guys?
Yes.
We hope that you enjoyed our fudge. And we already know that it's yummy because we've made this before, huh?
Yeah.
Say thanks everybody for watching.
Thank you, everybody that's watching this.
JJ and I are making.
I'm our helper.
He's my helper, and he's helping me make vegan peanut butter fudge. So we substituted the butter with the plant-based butter, and everything else is the same. It's peanut butter and we boiled the plant-based butter with the peanut butter, and then we added vanilla extract and took it off the stove. And look at that, JJ. Look at that. It looks great. So we added 4 cups of confectioner's sugar, and we're going to put it into the pan to cool. We buttered the pan, and voila. So we'll put this in the refrigerator and let it cool, and then cut it up.
Thank you guys for joining us today while we made the lasagna soup and garlic bread. Be sure to post your pictures online with the hashtag Dinner Table Project. We'd love to see your family's kitchen creations and see how the recipe goes for you guys. Thank you.
Hi, it's me again, Tony from the Hardin County Extension Office. And I just wanted to come before you and just say that the Dinner Table Project is going well. We had a wonderful group here from Woodland Elementary where they did the lasagna soup with homemade garlic bread and fudge. The Dinner Table Project is really something that can take off with you having more family time with your kids and talking about the day and what they did, what's going on. Right now we have a lot of downtime with COVID, so let's just take advantage of it. And also, if there's anything that you need or resources for as calendars, we have these nice calendars here. You can come by the office and call and let me know that you're coming, and I can put some out for you to get. And also check on the Facebook page where there's a lot of things going on at the Hardin County Extension Office with different activities for the kids. So once again, I'd like to thank you for participating, watching the Dinner Table Project, and hope you have a nice and wonderful evening.